My husband is still one of those guys that giggles when I say playground duty. And he says, ha ha ha, duty. Hi everybody, welcome back to Talk and Chalk. I'm Beck. Here's one of my videos that I'm creating in the holidays for you guys, and it was one of the recommended videos. Thank you to all the people that have sent in suggestions. I will try and do my best to get through all of the topics. Today's is playground duty, and I'm really keen to hear what you call playground duty. It sounds worse now that I'm just thinking of my husband giggling. I know some people call it yard duty, some people call it playground supervision. I'd love to know if there's another nickname for this anywhere. What I am referring to obviously is when kids are on a play break and you need a teacher out there to supervise them. Here are some tips for you guys around things that I think will make it more successful for you. If you're a brand new teacher and you have no idea what your responsibilities are when you go out to the playground, this might help you as well. Now, I made lots of notes on this one. I intended this to be quick, and then I kept writing and writing and writing. So I'm hoping there will be some gems for you in there, and my apologies that I'm not making eye contact with you today. I will be looking at my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. So let's get into it. First things first is know your break rights. Now, depending on what state you're in, what system you're in, what country you're in, hello to my people overseas who are tuning in, make sure that you know what your entitlements actually are. Some different systems will have different amounts, so 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 20-minute breaks, 1 30-minute break, those kinds of things. I know it's difficult in my system for the break times that we have, especially if you work in a small school, because even though you have those entitlements, there might not be enough staff on site to physically be there to break up the amount of time that you need. I know when I was in a small school before, rural, remote town, and sometimes you just did not have casual relief teachers to replace people when they were away. So there were some days I had 2, even 3 duties, barely had time to stop. I could have complained about it, but it wouldn't have made a difference. There was still no one to replace me. And first and foremost is duty of care to our students. So that's a systemic issue that obviously our unions are fighting to fix. Teacher shortages are very real, especially in those regions, but sometimes it's just what had to be done. I'm going to stick with my next one. So duty of care does come first, always. So even if it means missing your break. Obviously, if you need to go to the toilet, get a teacher to cover you, shove food in your face if you absolutely need to. You cannot leave kids out there without supervision. If you are trying to protest these issues, these systemic issues, it cannot be in place of duty of care of our kids. It needs to work outside of that. So don't ever leave either unless there's a teacher to replace you. So for whatever reason, someone's late to replace you, you've been on first half, 5 minutes has passed, they haven't turned up, you've sent a message or something like that, don't leave. You cannot just walk off and go, my time's done, I'm going to leave. You have to wait until a teacher replaces you. Cannot leave those kids unsupervised. Also, please don't send your children out to a play area if you can't see the teacher that's on supervision there. So if your class, backs onto the school oval or something, don't just let them free for all and run out there until you've looked out and you can see the teacher is on duty out there, because again, that's your duty of care. You're sending them to an unsupervised area. That will come back on you. If the other teacher's late, doesn't matter. You can have it out about that issue later. Talk to the executive. If someone is consistently late, you cannot let them out there like that. You need to make sure someone is there. When you get your timetable, your playground duty timetable, please check it straight away. As an exec who helps create these timetables, it takes a long time to make sure you've put people in the right days or the times, if they've got something on, if there's someone who runs choir or dance or they do a sport group or something like that and you need to tweak around it. It's not a quick and easy process. Even in a small school, it's not a quick and easy process. Check it straight away, look for clashes, make sure you haven't got too few or too many, be honest about it. And then make sure you notify an executive or the person who created the timetable straight away if there's an issue. No one's going to rip you a new one because you told us there was a mistake on there. I would rather know that the mistake is on there so we can fix it quickly, especially before it's due to start. So if you've been given a timetable, the term prior, before the holidays or something like that, look at it, have a look. If we miss things, we miss things. It's understandable. And if you miss something, it's understandable too. I'm not putting the onus on you whatsoever, but just have a glance. And also ask something if you would like to request something. The worst we can say is no. Like if you have a playground duty right after you've had an RFF spot, like a release from face-to-face spot, and you would prefer to have it at a different time in the day, later in the day, so you can keep working through that if you want to, just ask. You know, we're more than happy to try and accommodate if we're able to. So have a designated clear spot in your classroom where you keep your playground resources. So when I talk about resources, I'm talking about if you wear a high-vis vest, if you've got a first aid bag that you're meant to take out, if there are like playground tokens or awards or whatever rewards you may have for your school, have them in one spot in your classroom, clearly labeled, and make sure your students and your teacher neighbor know who they are. Or if you're a secondary teacher and you have an office, same thing goes in your office. Have it in your office where people know that it's yours and that's where it is. This will come in handy if you forget your resources. It happens. Sometimes we're on the go. A lesson ran late. We're going to get out to duty. That duty of care. We're on the go. Forget my high-vis vest. You might have, if you're secondary students, maybe they're allowed to go back in and get them for you, or your neighbor teacher that you can just wave out and go, can you get my vest, get my bag? They can send it out to you. Because they'll know where it is. Quick, easy, efficient. Also makes it easier if you've got a relief teacher replacing you for the day. They can easily find it and utilize it for those reasons. I'm saying a lot. Thanks, Mum. She's reminding me. If you absolutely need to eat during your playground time, that's fine. Me personally, I try not to. I think it helps me be more active on the playground if I'm not eating things. I'm trying to be vigilant and paying attention. Every school I've worked at has had the expectation that you are supposed to sit down whilst eating. So if I'm on duty, I'm not role modeling that very well. And there are other times to eat during the day. This isn't a condescending thing. If you need to do it, you do it. Just my personal preference not to do it because, like I said, I find I am much more active if I'm able to just eat at a different time. I recommend avoiding lunches that need a long prep time, whether you're, eating on duty or whether you're eating at that different time. If you've got something that's easier to grab on the go in your hand, then that break time will be much more beneficial for you than spending 10 minutes of it waiting for something to heat up. Again, your preference, only my recommendations. I personally prefer not to have, like a soup waiting for me or a frozen soup if I've only got that quick break time on there, something easy that I can pick up and go with. It can get really tricky when you're in a school where you have a playground duty every single day. I know the small schools that are watching are going, seriously? Really? No, I've got no other time. I have to do this. If you have to do it, you have to do it. Absolutely, you got to do you. And in those schools, kids will know. Miss has to eat on playground duty because there is no other time to do it. This is the only time she has. And those kids will get used to it. Different cultures, different vibes, they understand. And a lot of the time those parents will support you too and, say, stop telling Miss that she has to sit down to eat. Get off a case, go and follow the school rules. Comes down to your school culture. Be on time. I can't stress this enough. There's such a backlash if people aren't there on time, and it just comes down to knowing your timetable well. I put it in my day planner, even now when I'm on a duty. So even now I'm deputy principal, I still take playground duties at different times. A lot of the time I'm trying to utilize a space where I want to get to know kids that I don't normally get to do that. So at the moment I'm volunteering for preschool duties wherever I can do that, because I don't get the option to be in there as much as I get to be in the rest of the school. This is my chance to go and socialize with the kids and get to know them. So not socializing though, obviously I'm supervising, but preschool's fun. So that's what I'm trying to do. But I put it into my day planner. So I know I've got to pack up that lesson, 2 minutes earlier than what I would have on another day. I've got to make sure the kids are ready to go. This is not the day to have stragglers in the classroom. It's not the day that I can say, you got to stay in and finish that work, Johnny, finish that last question. I can't do it. I've got a duty of care. I need to be on time. So when I schedule those things in, if there's a change that week, like I've swapped duties with someone, I highlight it, because your brain gets so ingrained with, oh yeah, my duty is recess Wednesday. My duty is first lunch on Friday or something. You get ingrained with it. So I put a highlighter on it just to make sure that I'm not forgetting it. If you do get there late, It happens, that's fine. Apologize to the person and make sure the next time you go out to that duty, you go those few minutes earlier to make sure that person gets relieved that bit earlier. It's just good courtesy to do that. If you're on the other end and that person is consistently late, again, just notify an executive. This person's consistently late. Can I switch duties around on the next schedule? Or, you know, that executive might talk to that person and see what's going on. There could be some other issue in the classroom where they've got a child that just keeps refusing to leave the classroom and their duty of care is to that child and they can't get out to the duty. Sometimes they conflict that way. Open communication is the best. Just talk about it. Things happen. Follow the school expectations when you're on the playground. So for example, if you're in an uncovered space that requires that the children wear a hat to be out there to play, wear a hat, role model it. We're telling the kids it's for sun safety, which it is. You should be sun safe as well. Model it. We forget our hats too. Have the hat with your high-vis vest and your first aid kit so you've got it when you go out. I used to have a parasol sitting there as well on it because I'm a bit pasty, so I burn easily, and sometimes you'd be called out to a duty that you weren't expecting, may not have had sun cream on, left the hat at home or whatever because it wasn't my normal duty. I take the parasol out with me. It was a beautiful paper parasol that one of the Vietnamese families gave to me from one of their trips overseas. It was beautiful. I think I still have it in storage somewhere. I'll have to find it. So yes, no hat, no play. Make sure you wear a hat. If it's an area that you're not allowed to eat. Now, I know I said, yeah, if you've got to eat, you've got to eat. But if you're down on like the sports oval and it's a massive rule that you do not eat down there because it brings in the birds, because there's no bins down there or whatever, don't eat down there. Role model it. You know, we've got these high expectations for kids and then we're kind of just going, oh, well, I'm above the rules. I don't respect the expectations that I'm expecting you to adhere to. Those things get soaked up by kids too. They really absorb all of that. Okay, always be vigilant and keep roaming. Now, this is harder in summer when it's hot and it's harder in winter when it's freezing, but you've got to keep doing it. It just prevents so many issues along the way. You will have a much calmer duty if you keep moving, keep roaming, stay vigilant on all of those kids than what you would if you just stand still and things happen and you won't know until it blows up. So target those key areas straight away. So toilets, obviously, kids like to hover in the toilets. That's where issues happen. It's where accidents can happen. And not just accidents, other accidents. You know, the canteen, kids lining up, buying food for each other, pushing in, all of that stuff. Like, hit that spot first. I always go there first. Where's your manners? Why aren't you in one line? Why are you here? You waiting for a friend? Off you go. Go wait for your friend elsewhere. Areas that you know are out of bounds, hit them first as well. Make sure no one's trying to tiptoe close to the edge. Behind big trees, the shrubs, and any area that you know in your school is a bit of an issue. Hit that spot first. Roam around. How you going, kids? You know that's near out of bounds. Go to a better spot. All those sorts of things. Even behind a tree, I can't see. That's out of bounds. Off you go. And those school expectations I said to model, target those as well. If you're down on the playground and there's a bunch of kids out there without a hat on, off you go, off you go, off you go, back into the spot where you're meant to be. Makes your duty much easier when you're half the kids on the field. So you just get no hat, off you go. You're eating, off you go. Same thing with the sit down to eat too. You know, a lot of kids running around, not being able to play the game properly because they've got an ice block in their hand or something. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. As soon as you do that, everything calms down a little bit. They know you're watching. They know they can't test the limits. Yeah, hit things like, you know, if they're playing with different sports balls that aren't meant to be there, that's how accidents happen. That's why we don't have those certain sports balls in that area. Get rid of them, move them on. Rubbish in the bin. I like to role model picking up a piece of rubbish. You know, it's good to go, oh, this is so messy. Who's going to help me and do that? I do that, but I help them do it too. I pick it up. Environmental education is part of initiatives that I help and am keen to help on in my school. And I like to role model that as well. And, you know, as soon as one kid sees you pick up 2 pieces of paper, they're keen to get in. They love getting it. Maybe not in secondary, but definitely in primary. Again, keep moving and keep the interaction going. Keep it short and sweet. So hover up to a bunch of boys that are playing, you know, with Beyblades or whatever. What are you guys all playing today? They'll all say Beyblades. Oh, great. Taking in turns? Yeah. Good. Have fun. Keep moving. You've checked on them. They're fine. No issues. If there was an issue, that's when they'd bring it up. Some of those kids won't bring an issue to you unless you go in and engage with them. So that would be the point where someone would go, he took mine and he won't give it back. Sometimes those kids are too scared to come and find you because they're worried about leaving that situation. They might lose more things. They might lose their place in the game. They might lose their turn. But if you're there, they can say it. You can help sort it out nice and quickly. Everyone good? Move on. Go find the next one. If a group of students engage you in a conversation, there's always those kids that want to say, hi, miss, come up and have a chat. How's your weekend? Or even those solitary kids that want to come up and engage in a conversation. That's fine. Have a chat, engage, make sure there's no issues. They might be trying to debrief with you. Their friend might not be there that day, or they're just looking for a chat. That could be all it is. Make sure you still stay above that conversation and keep eye contact on what's going on around you. I suggest this because any of those students who have engaged in bullying behavior will often watch to see what the teachers are doing. And as soon as you kneel down, get into a conversation, lose the line of sight of everything, that's when they might do something. So as long as you're still up, like an emu, looking around, and sometimes you're not necessarily actually seeing everything. You just, that's it. I'm around. Kids know you're watching. They know you're being vigilant. They may not try something. Keeps you active on what's going on in the playground so that if something does catch your eye, you can get out of that conversation and go deal with it. If you're finding that they're lingering too long, just start walking. They follow. They will walk and talk if they really want to talk to you. If not, they'll wander off and go back to whatever they were doing. When there is an issue, I always like to ask the kids, what happened? Specifically those two words, what happened? I don't ask, did you do that? I ask what happened, because I don't want to put blame or onus on anyone in the heat of that moment. It amps kids up when that happens. Someone will come and tell or dob, depending on what's going on, and then the other person will get riled up. So if I just turn to them and I say, what happened? They're pretty honest sometimes, and just asking that honest question and not accusing someone, did you do that? Why did you do that? If I just say what happened, usually the kid that did something wrong is going to give me some backstory to go with it. Yeah, I hit him, but he pushed me, that kind of thing. I shouldn't be generalizing with boys here. This is just recent experience at the end of the term. So those questions, what happened? Now, if you get a nice big rabble sort of getting around you and there's a bunch of witnesses that all saw everything, who was involved? You and you. Oh, okay, you saw it, right? You three stay, the rest of you off you go. Get it down to them. Let them share with you what happened and debrief. If you find that this is something that involved a lot of people and it was a bigger issue, that's when you're going to have to say, okay, this is for insert executive name here to discuss with you. And then obviously if it's at the beginning of the break, you might need to send them to the office. If it's right at the end of the break, you might send them to class and then notify the executive straight away so that they can intervene. If it's big, the executive will gather other witnesses and get, statements and that kind of a thing. Make sure you let their class teacher know that something happened. Please don't let them go into their classroom blind to the fact that there's been some blowout on the playground and they're all coming up with, angry energy into the classroom. Take the extra minute to go see the teacher and say, quickly, this happened on the playground. Blah is sorting it out right now. They might come down and talk to the kids. They can be like, right, I'm going straight in and we're doing yoga. Or whatever they know that they need to calm the kids down. They might have behavior strategies in place for when that happens. There might be a timeout system, self-timeout. There might be a calm down room. We don't know what they've got in place there. So give the teacher a heads up. Now, I know that means taking the extra minute to get back to your class and your duty of care, but this is where your culture needs to be set up in your school with an understanding that if you are late to class, your teacher neighbor doesn't just abandon your kids and take their kids into the classroom. They need to wait. They need to keep their line of sight of kids. And if you're taking too long, maybe they take both classes into their classroom because something unusual has happened. This shouldn't be a usual occurrence. Obviously, if you're coming back that late to class all the time, there's another issue there. Take the extra minute, because believe me, when you're the teacher that gets the heads up before you take your class in for the afternoon after they've had a heated argument or something at break time, you can have 30 seconds extra to prepare how you're going to take them into the classroom. You might let that kid have 30 seconds just outside the classroom door, wash their face, get a drink, whatever, before they come back into the classroom, so that you can minimize that disruption, help them back into a state of calm that enables them to access the curriculum, which is what we really need when we come back into the classroom. So make sure you take the time to notify, document, record these things when they happen. Could be small, could be big. Obviously, teacher experience and time will tell. If there is a fight on the playground, as in fisticuffs, kids going at it, girls pulling hair, boys throwing punches, whatever it is, safety always comes first. So you intervening puts yourself in a position of danger, and if you get injured, duty of care is gone. So you need to be mindful of your duty of care, not just to the kids that are engaging in that fight, but to all of the kids in that supervisory area. So you need to distinguish very, very quickly. Am I putting myself into a dangerous situation if I try and do anything here? If the answer is yes, you send for help. If you can talk to the kids and get them to stop, use your words. If they're going for gold like that and you know it's dangerous, don't get yourself in a physical position where you could get injured, because then, like I said, you're risking your duty of care to the rest of the kids on the playground. Send for an exec. Someone will run and get them. They will come out. I've gone through that one. So being late back from duty. Oh no, I mentioned that one. That's school culture. Oh, sorry. So this also means, though, don't leave the area that you are in until it's clear. So I'm going to think of my school. We have a top quad that has the canteen, some seats for eating on, and it has a sand pit. The sand pit has always got the laggards. They are always slower to get back because they're putting on shoes and socks. So as I know the bell is coming up soon, I keep my eye on the watch. I go and I start packing them up early, because they're little kindy kids that sometimes need help getting their shoes and socks on. They always take longer. So I'm packing them up before the bell has even gone, but sometimes they're still taking longer. I cannot leave them there at the sand pit if classes have all gone inside, even if I'm meant to be back in my classroom. I'm trusting my teacher neighbor will be supervising my kids, will stay with my class until I get there, because I cannot leave them there by themselves. Again, duty of care. So if you're on the back oval, you can still see some kids down the back there, you're yelling at them to get in, and there's always those kids that are always last. So that's a whole other behavior system. If it's the same kids all the time, some other system needs to be put in place for them. Again, pack them up early maybe. You've got to stay there till they're off and they're going to their class where they're being supervised by their classroom teacher. And I think that's all I've got for you. So 20 minutes of that. Hopefully that's some helpful tips for you. I've probably forgotten lots of things that I've done over the years when it comes to playground duty. So please feel free to share any of your tips in the comments below. I would love it if you clicked like. Those things are always helpful with feedback, and subscribe is always welcome as well too. I will see you in one of the many videos to come. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.